In the beautiful state of Kerala, there once was a king named Mahabali. He was greatly respected in his kingdom and was considered to be wise, fair, and extremely generous. It is said that Kerala witnessed its golden era during his reign. Everybody was happy in the kingdom. It didn't matter what your caste was or if you were rich or poor. Everyone was treated fairly. There was neither crime nor corruption. People did not even lock their doors because there were no thieves in the kingdom. There was no poverty, sorrow, or disease in the reign of King Mahabali, and everybody was happy and content.
King Mahabali belonged to the Asura dynasty, who was a passionate worshipper of Lord Vishnu. His bravery and strength of character earned him the title Mahabali Chakravarti, or Mahabali, the King of Kings.
Looking at the growing popularity and fame of King Mahabali, the gods became extremely concerned and jealous. They felt threatened about their own supremacy and began to think of a strategy to get rid of the dilemma.
He has too much power! The people worship him like a god! Something must be done!
To control the growing reign of Mahabali and maintain their own supremacy, Aditi, the mother of gods, requested the help of Lord Vishnu, whom Mahabali worshipped.
Let us ask Lord Vishnu for help. Lord Vishnu, King Mahabali worships you. Can you help us with a dilemma?
It was said Mahabali was very generous and charitable. Whenever anybody approached him for help or requested for anything, he always granted it. To test the king, Lord Vishnu disguised himself as a dwarf and a poor Brahmin called Vamana. He came to the kingdom just after Mahabali performed his morning prayers and was preparing to grant boons to Brahmins.
Disguised as Vamana, Vishnu said he was a poor Brahmin and asked for a piece of land. The generous king said he could have as much as he wanted. The Brahmin said that he just wanted as much land that could be covered by his 3 steps. The king was surprised to hear, but agreed.
Can I have some land?
I have all that you asked for.
I only need 3.
Please take more.
I only need 3.
A learned advisor of the king, Shukracharya, sensed that Vamana was not an ordinary person and warned against making the promise. But Mahabali was generous and replied that it would be a sin for a king to go back on his words. The king could not imagine that the dwarf Brahmin was Lord Vishnu himself.
Be careful, king. This Brahmin dwarf is not who he seems like.
Not go against my word. It will be a sin. I grant you the land.
Just as King Mahabali agreed to grant the land, Vamana began to expand and eventually increased himself to the size of cosmic proportions. With his first step, the Brahmin boy covered the whole of earth. And with the second step, he covered the whole of skies. He then asked King Mahabali, where is the space for him to keep his 3rd foot?
The king realized that he was no ordinary Brahmin, and his 3rd step will destroy the earth. Mahabali, with folded hands, bowed before Vamana and asked him to place his last step on his head so that he could keep the promise. Vamana blessed him and placed his foot on the humble king's head, sending him to Sutalam, which is considered to be even higher than heaven.
Please place your last step on my head.
There, the king requested the Brahmin to reveal his true identity. Lord Vishnu then appeared before the king in his person. The Lord told the king that he came to test him, and the king won the test. King Mahabali was pleased to see his Lord. Lord Vishnu also granted a boon to the king.
The king was so much attached with his kingdom and people that he requested to be allowed to visit Kerala once a year. Lord Vishnu was moved by the king's nobility and was pleased to grant the wish. He also blessed the king and said, even after losing all his worldly possessions, the king would always be loved by Lord Vishnu and his people.
You have passed the test. I will grant you a boon.
Please let me visit my people once a year.
Done.
Each year, King Mahabali returns to visit his kingdom. This day is known as Onam. The festival is celebrated as a tribute to the sacrifice of King Mahabali. Every year, people make elaborate preparations to welcome their king, whom they affectionately call Onatappan. They wish to please the spirit of their king by depicting that his people are happy and wish him well. The second day, Tiruvanam, is the biggest and most important day of this festival. It is believed that King Mahabali visits his people on the second day.
Happy Onam.